Hey, how's it going? I pulled some cards and I want to say some stuff about some things and not do that. Please look at my signs. Excuse me. So, today I just kind of had some stuff on my mind, and I'm sure everyone does about if you're in, well, I guess it doesn't really matter where you are. I think things are pretty upheavally everywhere right now. Uh-oh, did I turn it off? I didn't. Sorry. Trying to have some music and not get busted here. So, okay, but I'm in the USA, and so I am a recipient of social services, and that's almost my entire livelihood. Almost. It is my entire livelihood. So, that would be food assistance, cash assistance, low income assistance, medical assistance. Bye. And the thought is scary because I'm old, so I don't think that even if they were in like good health, either of my parents would still be around today, and I'm an only child. I mean, I have steps and halves and things, but I mean, I guess if it's not the full amount, it doesn't account or something, because they are not available for small talk even. So that's not an avenue, I'm saying. And so this is I don't think it's absolutely hopeless. I think at least temporarily I could get help from people that I actually know, but boy, I don't like to do that. Everybody's having a hard enough time as it is right now, and I'm not able-bodied. I got lots of stuff, and I have a dependent, and it's just never a good time for complete upending of your life. It hasn't happened, to me, I should say, because things are happening to people in spots here and there, and it's different things that are happening to people, like the cutting off of the Medicaid, which is low income people medical care that you have to qualify for, but it's desperately needed, and once you get it, you want to keep it. So people that are dependent on it, like one woman I heard today passed away because her oxygen was no longer paid for, and she's in no condition, was in no condition to work. And there's the USAID, the overseas aid, of like same kind of stuff that I'm in threat of losing, food, medicine, aid, help. And it's a characteristic of this new current administration to not only not care, not give a shit, but to be like, haha, you deserve it. So and it's kind of like you almost expect it from like the older people, and I guess you shouldn't be surprised because the younger people are exposed to the older people, but not all of these people are in the same house. It's a culture, and so uh, it's not absolute. There are people that don't subscribe to it like at all and separate from it and that, but it is like a prevailing tide, and so that's also daunting if you're gonna let yourself get scared, if you're gonna like allow yourself to be subject to like the ails of fear. I don't know how else to say it. So I mean, yeah, initially like but it's not just like my life falling apart. It's like all this other stuff, and for every action there is a reaction. Like at some point, enough momentum of "oh no, you're not" is gonna rise to the occasion. It's just unfortunate that this is not one of those times where you can sort of absent yourself from the effects of what's happening. But what was happening in my brain though was that there are people like mega people, and not just like the base, like people like corporate farmers, that were let down so bad in the last administration. Some of them just decided to end it all, and they're getting ruined this round too. Like, I guess whatever a small family farm is, and then also the big gigantic corporate ones are, because of the new policies of this administration, they don't have staff to tend the garden. So it's like nobody is not getting hit, and eventually, they say the rot goes from the fish head down. Well, the whole fish is just rotting. Maybe the head was just rotten to begin with. Opinion commentary, but I've never been an admirer of the guy because of the way I've seen him behave. I mean, it's not like I hate white people thing. It's nothing like that at all. I just think he personally is kind of abhorrent. And he feels the same way about me, so there. Except I have neither the inclination or the ability to screw up his stuff the way that he and company can do to mine. Where am I going? I don't know. So I did write myself a few little notes here to kind of keep track of some stuff that I wanted to say. So the first thing is, oops, that's not the one I want to be looking at. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Severance question. Okay, so the Apple TV show Severance, I've been watching it. I like it. It's strange. I'm sure that's how it's meant to be, and it certainly makes you feel strange, or it makes me feel strange. Like, I'm really not sure what's going on at this job, and nobody in the show is really either, except for the cult leader and family in that, and even they're like not immune to the weirdness, or they are not, just to be clear what that contraction was, even they are not immune to the weirdness, and they're like shell-shocked and have lost time and don't know what happened during, and it's like contagious. It's very like pervasive. I definitely feel sure, unsettled, but that's not really the word I'm looking for. Unsure. Like, you just are like, what? Like everything, like the people's affect in the show, except for like the protagonist's sister. She's like the only normal one on that show. Okay, so anyway, I like it. Even though it makes me feel strange, I like that too, I guess. So the latest episode, Miss Wong, who for some reason is a child in this office, and she's like in a supervisory position over all these other adults, which they keep questioning, why are you a child? And no one really gets an answer because that's how that place is. They don't really have to explain stuff. They can just say something that's confusing and sounds out of context. And what can you say? It's your boss. You can say nothing, and the boss is a child. So something happens in the show. I won't do one of my famous spoilers, but after it gets set off, Miss Wong, the child supervisor, asks her supervisor, Mr. Milchick, if she can say a question. Okay, let me just sidetrack for a second here and say, yes, I know language is alive, and I am also guilty of completely abusing the privilege of literacy. I'll steal slang and language and expressions and references and from everywhere and everything. And back when Twitter was, you could only do 140 characters. If you wanted to get a point across in one box, you had to get very creative, and that has also shaped the way that I write. So I'm not saying that, certainly there's nothing I can do to prevent it, no matter how much it bugs me. But among things that bug me about language now, I'll just do one for right now so I can get back to what I was doing. But it is how you say has replaced words like tell or ask. Like, I heard somebody say a joke, or I'm gonna say a joke, and it's like, I understand what you're saying. Again, I can't edit the world, but look I can't even hardly talk. I just get stuck. Like, oh, it's so wrong. So the girl says, can I say a question? And I'm like, no, you can ask a question. That is what ask is for specifically. Like, the word that you usurped ask for doesn't really work there. I mean, it does if it's like English is your fifth language or something. It's not right. I almost lost my mind. I was like, no, you ask a question. Ask. Okay. Rant concluded in transmission. So, okay. What else have I got? Why am I yelling? I don't know. Oh, so Social Security community. I think I was already just talking about my livelihood and that possibly disappearing, and I got ahead of myself because I have a list. And I don't remember what I said. But here's what I wanted to say about it as far as my list is concerned. So I'm on Blue Sky now, and I really like it. When I learned that my livelihood was in danger of being relieved from my possession, I was like, okay. Earlier that day, a question came up on Blue Sky, and it was one I've asked myself over the years many times, and I just didn't think I just didn't ever think that I was going to be able to answer this particular one, which is, what would you have done during the civil rights error too? What would you have done? What would you have done? I mean, maybe you were there. I mean, I was there for some of it, but I was like an infant. Not very helpful. And probably a scary time to have a baby, to be honest, because people were just getting off to left and right for, existing the wrong race. And what do you know? So it's just come back around because we love our cycles. We living beings in this world, this universe. That's kind of how the stuff works, like everything. So, come on, brain. Where were you? Oh, so on Blue Sky, and I'm on there, and I'm like, I certainly cannot be the only person that is on Social Security in some way, shape, or form on here, because not everyone is entirely dependent on social services. Some people, for instance, got on Social Security at a way more advanced age than I did, because I got drastically ill at 26, and it just reshaped my whole life. Basically, like, I am not the person I was before all of this happened. Other people got to work and accumulate savings and Roths and IRAs and whatevers, and I did not have an opportunity to do that. And once I finally got onto Social Security at 32, so from 26 to 32, I was like recovering, and then I had to like find things I could do for work. I wasn't like cured or anything. All that had happened was they had determined what was wrong with me. That's pretty much all that was done. They did treat me with some medication that with steroids, which I don't recommend it. They do terrible things to you, because I have like osteo stuff that is at least exacerbated because of the massive amounts of steroids that I've had to take. But that is not about what I wanted to say. It's not about you. So anyway, what I'm saying is there have got to be other people on Social Security in some way on Blue Sky, because to the best of my knowledge, there's not children on there. Everyone seems to be pretty, at least in their 20s. So I said, and I don't know why this is a bad thing to just ask a question. I said, if anyone with legal expertise can answer this, is it possible to sue Elon Musk and whoever else is responsible for trying to, gut the social services money for people he calls them parasites? I'm like, Jesus, pot kettle black, dude, what the hell? Mirror. Oh, the dude is a total parasite. I did work. I'm sorry I didn't live longer working before I got sick. Had I known, I would have, okay? That dude came over here under all kinds of pretenses, just lies his head off to this day. And I don't know how he hoodwinked everybody and got into the position he's in, but that's where we're at these days. Hi. Hey, he's taking advantage of the chaos. Even if he's making the chaos, he's taking advantage of it. But he's not exclusively responsible for this stuff. And, there's a bunch of people enthusiastically behind it. Like that Mike Lee guy. He's like, get those people off of Social Security and destroy it. And I was like, why the ire? Why are you so mad at these poor parasite strangers about it? Like, I don't get it. But it's a thing that's there, and it is meant to be, just like the opposite side of, that viewpoint, outlook. I was just hoping that, I also asked, I said, does anyone know if there can we sue, like class action wise, like a group of recipients? Is that happening? Can someone point me to where there's one? Can anyone advise me on how to start one? Crickets, man. Nobody. It was like, I'm not even looking at that. And I thought, that was fast. And you know what that is? I had already started noticing it, but Blue Sky, sad to say, and I knew this was going to happen, it's already turned into social media, and it's probably going to lose the enjoyable factor, the thing that makes it charming and lovable. And damn it, unfortunately, it is the increase of people, the influx of people, probably a lot from X, bringing their expectation and expecting everything, making everybody sick because there's no expectation vaccine yet. But just wherever they're coming in from, and there's like the scorn factor has gotten really high, and then like the vicious factor is starting to increase, and I'm already like, I don't even want, like, I'll see a few things and I'll be like, I'm discouraged, I don't want to be here anymore. And that sucks. I've only been on there since the day before the election, but I knew it was gonna happen. As soon as like more people started joining, I just knew the quality was gonna go down, because we just don't know how to behave. We kind of suck. We got to work on that, because if we want things to change from like where it's turning to with mean, cruel, defy empathy, like destroy empathy, it's crazy. I feel like I'm in like a comic book adaptation. Because everything's so like flamboyant and outrageous. It's just crazy. Okay, what else? Okay, so still about the Social Security. So I had said too that, and am saying now, what I started to say earlier and trailed off, is that generally I want to be as pacifist as possible. I don't even really want to like use my words to start stuff with people. I mean, I could, but I don't want to go there. I'd rather just like laugh and make light. The heavy stuff is there, not to be ignored, and I just try not to overload my feed anywhere with that type of thing when it comes to like politics or war or like disease or vaccine arguments, climate change, existence or not. I try not to engage in that stuff, at least on like Blue Sky. YouTube is different, it's a different format, but on Blue Sky I didn't want to do that. Like, I just wanted my feed to be a certain way, and I didn't want anybody that was too hyper Democrat or hyper Republican. I really don't want anybody too hyper anything. Like, I just want to keep it toned the hell down, So, I want to express my displeasure, my dismay, and I want to like be more than passive. Like, there are certain physical things that I could do, well, that people can do, that I either can't, or to do it would be so difficult. I just don't have the means in so many ways, like to attend things and go be a part of whatever. And that's fine. There's other ways to help. And so I've talked about it before, in one way I feel like is really just maintaining a connection with as many people of whatever stripe. Like, I don't even really ask people, like, what are you this or that political thing, or that just seems like the road to an argument. So why would I do that? And I find that I talk to plenty of conservative people and those things never come up. So I say, yeah, just keep doing that. Like, just maintain good relations with everybody. as much as possible, because there's going to be a time when, boy, and it's going to be like any minute, when we're really going to be calling on each other for help, because the usual places where we would seek it isn't going to be there, and they're not, you know, there's no special cards, I don't think. I don't, like I said, I think everyone is going to be struck by this stuff, so I think it's good to, like I said, maintain good relations with everyone that you can. You never know. Okay, so I wrote a little short thing, but I'm just going to do some cards. So the query I had for the cards was about taking advantage of the chaos, basically. And so instead of being fearful and letting that overwhelm you, and then sort of like being in the way of whatever's collapsing, like whatever building's about to fall down, you know, like you're paralyzed by fear, too paralyzed by fear to get out of the way of, you know, falling bricks and stuff, so debris. And that is the reaction to freeze when you're suddenly assaulted, like in any form. You freeze for a second, but in some cases it's so appalling that you freeze, and it's not just the assault that's taking place, it's the like extremity of it, that there are so many like dead ends that also causes you to freeze. Like you might be a child being assaulted by an adult in some way, and you really can't, like, no one will believe you. You know, you're making it up for attention. Hey, been there, done that. There was no attention seeking for trying to tell people about that happening to me. It's like, what are you saying? Why are you saying I'm lying about this? It was like a really horrible experience. It was nearly always somebody I was related to or close to in some way. And I don't know, man. Learn more about Me Too if you don't know why all of that will make you just freeze up and just go forget it. Because that's kind of, I mean, that's where I was, and that's the way it looks like everybody else, or a lot of other people also react to that situation of being assaulted. It doesn't have to be the horrible one that I recounted. It could just be like getting mugged or verbally assaulted, just like when you're not expecting it and it just gets you and you're just like, you know, knocked off your feet, you know, you don't even know, you didn't see it coming. I have now lost track of what that was even all what that was even about that I was talking about. But so yeah, not being paralyzed by fear or by the fact that, like, everything you're used to or that you expect or that you counted on sort of turning out to be unreliable, never was what you thought it was, is just like a disappointment in every way. And then you again, like, that could cause a kind of paralysis. But I think the thing to do is, even if you don't know what it might be, I think it is a good idea to have your mind open to the idea of there being sort of limitless possibilities out there. Like, another reader I was watching yesterday put it in a good way when she said unexpected things can happen. Like, good things are happening, bad things are happening, but bad is maybe not just bad, because also from all of those unexpected opportunities can arise. So that was sort of the mindset of like what I wanted from this reading, was like, where do we need to be, I guess, to take advantage of the situation, to finally be the ones taking advantage and not being taken advantage of. I mean, you might have some thought or idea in you that no one else had thought of, and then it wasn't viable because the conditions weren't right, and then who knows, in the middle of, what we're calling chaos, which, it's just begun. Like, keep your powder dry yet on calling stuff chaos. But, I mean, have an open mind, I guess, and like, I think to overcome fear, kind of try to find it, look at it as an opportunity, and then, like, I guess look for opportunities, right? You just don't know. So the first card I pulled is this here fireworks looking bouquet, and it reads, "What is planted in your soul will sprout." See, you don't know what you got hiding in there that could come in handy. Plant seeds, keep an open mind, dedication, your work is rewarded. So you just never know what's going to fall into your hands, but if you expect that over anything else, especially like fearful what ifs, well, if you dwell on something being negative, you can sort of like make that happen. It also works the other way. Positive attitude. We know all about that, I hope. I think sports, Okay, so the next card I pulled was this here magnifying glass. That's funny, I was just talking about magnifying a picture on a photo I had taken on my phone. I don't know if that might have something to do with it. Anyway, look for the answer inside your question. That's kind of what I was just saying with the magnifying glass. So I guess I'll just go on. Be honest with yourself to know the truth. That's kind of this look inside yourself to answer your own question. And also being honest with yourself to know the truth. That's like turning the magnifying glass on yourself. But it also kind of brings me back to this card, because with the magnifying glass you can see those things that I was talking about that maybe you didn't think were worth anything because it wasn't working for some reason. There could be stuff, like I said, that you're not even aware of, that it may take a magnifying glass to discover. And that's sort of turning the mirror on yourself. And the detective with the magnifying glass is pinpointing like every minute bit of information. I mean, it's really turning into like a coring out of yourself, but also the magnifying glass and the detective sort of motif that I've been going with this light in my face, which is not harsh, but still, that is also sort of a third degree thing, is having the harsh light shined on you while someone's picking at your finer details. But this is you, though. This is you looking for that. It's just you taking advantage of you, like I was saying. It's not bad. It's a good thing. So the next card is this here air balloon. What do you call these things? Some kind of balloon. Some kind of thing you won't find me in, I'll tell you that. There's no safety net. Although, I mean, now's the time where you kind of gotta act without a safety net, because they done yanked that away now. As I said earlier, the card says, the card asks, sorry, the card says, no, I'm not. You have seen my descent. That was it. I'll rise above that. You have seen my descent. Now watch my rising. Breakthrough. Success overcoming all obstacles. I mean, to me, having fear paralyze you and prevent you from moving forward in your life, like even in the wake of something traumatic, what you often have to do when things are hard and you just can't not, you gotta rise above it. So this type of balloon would most certainly not only rise you above, but give you that wider perspective in order for you to see that maybe fear is not the appropriate emotion that you need to be working with. That would be a breakthrough. Like, wait, I don't have to be afraid and everything that goes with it. Like, have you ever even thought of it? If something that you wanted to do you were not doing because fear was blocking it, like, what if you just didn't have the fear? Like, instead of, like, did you ever think of it? I'm not sure that I ever had. Like, it's just kind of occurring to me now, but I don't know. I'm going to try it next time. So, success, overcoming all obstacles. Yeah. We got there. Here's the next card. I mean, to me, that's obviously like a jack-o'-lantern face, but there's no pumpkin, really. But I was sort of noticing the orange spots in the background, which you could almost say it was like starry, but the the shape and the color of them remind me of, if you've ever been at like a campfire, like a wood fire, and it looks like the bits of flying embers that come up. So this is here's what it says. I am not this hair, I am not this skin, I am the soul that lives within. Beneath the surface, looks can be deceiving. Well, I mean, I feel like that is not only a message to other people to not just judge you based on how they perceive you. I think it's a message for all of us to not only perceive other people, like, give it a bit more bandwidth, a little more depth. Like, I don't know, turn on a light so you can see the accompanying body to the face. Widen your scope, give people more perspective, but also yourself, because we can be very rigid in our ideas and, like, what we will allow to be, in our world, where it's just like, what that really involves is, are you going to believe it? Are you going to allow it to, like, exist in your consciousness? Or are you going to be like, I will not have it. I will, you may not behave that way, or you may not have the thing. Like, how are you going to be? So, yeah, beneath the surface looks can be deceiving. Someone told me recently that I have resting bitch face. And I was like, I didn't know that, and it made me sad. But then I was like, though, every time I go out, I basically have an expression and headphones on, and an expression of don't talk to me because I don't want to talk to you. And that's the face. So if that's resting bitch face, sorry, that's total sidetrack. But it's also like the way that you're misperceived by people, because what they see is like your face and your expression, maybe, and maybe your features otherwise as well, that if you have certain ideas or biases about those things, they might cause the person to allow them to reflect on you and influence their perception of you in a certain way. And you can't do a whole lot about that if that's that person's sort of determination. But what I feel like this is saying is, and everybody should know this, is regardless of the exterior, what counts is, like, past that, beyond that, the content of the character type situation. Okay, you were, hold on. Oh. Anyway, I'm not gonna worry about it. I thought maybe you could hear it and I couldn't tell what it was. That's why I was looking. It was like, oh, okay, if I couldn't tell what that was, then I actually know what it is now that I looked. You probably didn't, if you heard it at all, you didn't have a clue. It was very confusing sounding. Anyway, sorry, getting sidetracked again. So, next card is this guy. And the card says, when you start to walk the way appear, I assume that means the way appears, taking steps, beginning again, creating the life you truly want. So, taking new steps forward. It does look like a new pair of sneakers. They're just not worn at all. But, you know, again, like creating from chaos, taking the first steps. And like I was saying before, like you kind of don't know what's ahead in this period of flux because so many things have happened in the past year and this new year that there's nothing happened like this before that I can recall. So we're on like a new timeline, people. New stepping, and I hear my cat throwing himself at the door. He's just gonna have to wait. He's not just out in the weather. He's in an enclosed, covered porch. He'll be fine for a few more minutes. Here is the next card I pulled. I don't have to explain what that is, I hope. The moon is bright when it doesn't avoid the night. Hang in there. Be patient. You are on the right track. So for me, this text on here, this wording is a little bit odd. I really think that these cards were made by someone whose English was not their first language. Anyway, the moon is bright when it doesn't avoid the night. So, I guess that's confusing for me because it's not like the moon tries to hide. It gets obscured by things like clouds. Often where I am, that's more often than not, there's cloud cover and you're lucky if you can see a moon at all. But also there will be cloud breaks where you get beautiful glimpses of it in like that silvery light and the reflection on the clouds, and it's all angelic and beautiful and all of that. But the moon in tarot is sort of like the what it embodies is like that moonlight at night where there's way more shadow than illumination. So you might be able to like know your way with your eyes closed, but you might not, especially if your eyes are closed, but also it's very dark, you might not be able to see something that's not always there, that's obscured by the shadows in the dark. So, it's just a funny thought. Like, does the moon hide itself when it's not in the mood to be forthcoming or something? I don't know. Let's go with that. Hang in there. Be patient. You're on the right track. So, if the moon is obscuring yourself and you're depending on it for light in sort of a, you know, difficult to see, discernment is hard situation, then you do kind of have to like go by feel and use your senses, because by the moon's light you can probably see well enough to be on the right track, I guess, is sort of the whatever. What am I trying to say? The whatever I'm trying to say. Here's the next one. I don't know why I was thinking of the river Styx. I don't think it has to do with that. Let's see what it says. Here, get a look at it, because it has to do with what's on the card. Very pastel and like pleasant colors there. Let the waters settle. Let the waters settle, and the stars will be mirrored within you. Take a break. Time away brings clarity. So let the waters settle, and the stars will be mirrored in you. That sounds like let your inner waters settle. Be the boat here on the placid water. And by the stars being mirrored in you, well, that could mean a number of things. I mean, our literal bodily composition is composed of star stuff. Like, there's minerals and crap that is the same stuff the planet's made of, and that came from space. Like, the way the combinations ended up blending together are, I would think, unique to this planet and its atmosphere and all of that stuff. But we have the same components, we humans, and very similar operating systems too in a lot of ways. And so I think it's a metaphor for your inner waters, for your well, it's pretty well known that if you are like upset and your mind is racing, your thoughts are unsettled, you can't like complete a thought well. You can't, be inspired because it can't get through the noise. And so the stars mirrored in you, I'm thinking, is the star stuff components within us. That the stars are guidance. They're used for guidance. So I'm thinking that's what it is. Like, mirror the stars kind of within yourself. And it's some sort of way of expressing guidance, or tool of guidance, something along those lines. Take a break. Time away brings clarity. Take a break from what? The noise, the activity, the outer world, all of that stuff. So I needed to pull 2 cards from the Kawaii Kitty deck. What's it called? The Kawaii Cat Tarot. And also it has to do with the question. So how do you make it, though? How do you make yourself not be afraid? How do you get through the times? You got to fake it till you make it. You got to be the illusionist. You got to be the magician. You got to pull a rabbit out of your hat. You got to, use your magic. We don't think we do that, but we can. We do. I love that it's the number 1 card. It's a master number, so we can do it. We have magic mastered. I think if we're not, cluttered with fear, and we're not going to be clarity. The inspiration and the connection to the magic, you gotta calm down for it to get through. You gotta be still, you gotta be clear. And the final card I pulled was the Empress. And so the Empress is like the benevolent ruler, and she kind of thinks of her subjects as her own children. Like, she really does have an eye on and an attention to the needs of every person under her okay, I don't know that word, in her kingdom, under her command, I guess. And so 111 is the number on this one. It is reminding me of the treatment of our self-appointed regents that we are not supposed to have. We're not supposed to have royalty. We're not supposed to have kings. We're not supposed to have people ignoring laws and legal systems and cherry-picking judges and rulings and then wielding the law against everybody else like a weapon. That is not what a benevolent ruler does, that cares about their subjects like they're their own children. These guys are angry, hateful. They want vengeance against the people that made their wealth a thing. Like, they could not run all of the factories their own selves, those owners, not even a 7 or 12 person board. Like, go ahead, run a factory. No blisters on your hand, having but blister phone answering CEO management types. Seriously, you need your workforce. Don't treat them like dirt. And they need the social services. Like, if you don't want to give them proper money or proper insurance, then we need help from the government. That's the only other place we're going to get enough of it for all of the people that need it. Like the lady that don't work or that didn't work because she couldn't and needed oxygen to stay alive. Like, there are people like that. I worked off and on. I've been on Social Security since 2004, and they've been like, did you call up the job training place? I'm like, yeah. They never picked up the phone, and I'm talking that place, and it looked like it was there. It would have cars in the lot. No one told me. I found out like probably 4 years later. Oh, they switched it to training for people with Down syndrome. I'm like, oh, okay. So the next time they ask me, I'm like, so where am I supposed to go? They're like, oh, yeah, we'll set you up. So I've been waiting 7 years now for that to happen. And I do look. And occasionally I'll find like a little part-time thing, but I don't want to be a parasite. Excuse me. But I'm also not, certainly in no shape to do the work that I used to do, because it was physical work always, like, because it allowed me to not be stuck inside a building, or if I wasn't like stuck in a cubicle. I was there to do something else, but it's hard on the body, and that's just like incidental. That kind of is not what is part considered by my, I don't know, insurance to be part of my medical issues, but it is. I got an actual disease though. That's why I got help from, yes, I am still listening, by the way. Oh, but I don't want to hear that. Oh well, it'll be over soon. Anyway, if we're parasitic, then we're feeding on a beast, correct? The beast happens to be feeding on the government that has a system for paying for the for the poor that need the help. The thing I was talking about, now the word is escaping me, the public safety net. So that's not what our leaders are particularly doing right now, and it's up to us. So we have to like be our own, royalty for ourselves, and each other as well. There's enough of, especially right now with like the presidential administration of USA, like they can't wait to get their hands in everything that's none of theirs. Like, they're definitely not entitled to what they're taking. And the reason why the other people that receive it are is because many of us did work for it, and some people do both, like are on it and have to still work. So it's not a perfect system, but it needs to be there, and it certainly doesn't need to be yanked away with no provision for any replacement, anything. Like, that's that, again, that cruel empathy coming in. And the two presidents, boy, those guys are so similar. I swear, they gotta have, you gotta love them and think they're bitching, and then if you don't, they'll like lash out, and they're just ridiculous. They're the best people. It's like, by what metric? Who told you could judge that? I'm gonna posit that you're not good at it. Anyway, I hope I got my point across, though. We can do this and do, I guess, go forward in the situation in the world right now that is so, like, just a bubbling pot boiling everywhere. Every country's got something happening. There's a lot of, like, interwoven situations. There's lots of threads going on that we're partially aware of or unaware of completely, or what we're told is inaccurate. I mean, there's so much obfuscation and straight up, like, lying to us, or, not lying by omission type things. Like, I don't know about you, but when I was a little kid, they were always telling me, don't lie. So what happened? Anyway, I guess the point is don't look at this as a disaster, because, I mean, maybe it's a disaster and an opportunity. Thank you and good night.